Hi and welcome to another YouTube video. In today's video I'm going to be creating a portrait using a base created by the AI on the website Artbreeder and then fleshing it out and bringing out its full potential using Photoshop. I have done that once before and I had so much fun with it, and so naturally I wanted to do it again, and also I just continued to have fun with faces on Artbreeder, so it was bound to happen that I found a face that would inspire me so much that I thought I really want to bring out the potential in this. And this time it started when on the trending page on Artbreeder I found a face of a girl with rainbow colored hair that was red on the one side and then went to I think blue and purple on the other side, and it was very beautiful. But when I tried to cross it with some of my favorite faces, because I wasn't a big fan of the initial shape of the face, the hair just turned gray. So in Artbreeder there's this super cool feature where you can basically see the family tree of that face, which faces have been mixed to create this. And so I found the origin of the rainbow, which was just basically a rainbow with no face in it. And so I took that rainbow and just combined that with a whole bunch of faces until the face color shined through, but the rainbow color still remained in the hair, and because that was the look that I was going for, and it worked really well. I had a large pool of faces, but none of them really stood out to me, so I started to combine all these faces and all of my favorites of the faces with the rainbow colored hair that I created, until I found this face that I really loved and that I really wanted to make into a painting. I immediately favorited it and downloaded it so that I could draw over it. And in the beginning of the painting process, I first started to kind of trace the proportions and analyze them to see if the proportions were correct, because the last time I did that I noticed kind of in the middle of the painting process that the nose looked kind of weird, and then I put on the outlines to see in which way the face is looking exactly, and then saw that the nose was turned in another direction than the rest of the face, and I didn't want that to happen again. So I started with figuring out the exact location of everything and the direction everything is looking, so that I could immediately find out where the shadows would have to be to turn them nose again a little bit. But the rest of the face looked pretty correct to me. I think I changed the position and the shape of the mouth a little bit, but everything else was very, very nice. I didn't have to change a lot there, which would have been pretty easy with the digital medium. So I kind of was sad that I didn't get to play around with the shapes and the proportions of everything, but it was fine. And at the moment you see me create the eye, and I really like to do the eye detailing as a standalone to really make sure that the iris of the eye is round and has all of the detail it needs and has the shadows in the right places, because if I paint an eye directly into the actual eye, I often kind of place the pupil not in the middle, but a little bit too high or too low, and I struggle with that. So in my painting process I just found that if I paint the eye on its own and then put it into the actual eye, it works really well for me and has a better result in the end, because I can focus solely and more on the eye. And now that I'm watching back the footage, I noticed that the shading between the lips is turned a little bit more to the right than the rest of the mouth. and I also think it's turned more to the right than would be correct. But I think I remember fixing it. Otherwise, I've seen it now and I'll fix it later. And last week I specifically trained to draw the glow of the lips, and because the eyes also had a lot of lights in them and were very glowy, I thought it was very fitting to also paint very glowy, shiny lips, and also that fit to the plans that I had for the lighting later. And so I did it, and then I focused more on the ears, and also drew in some earrings. And I also always think it's pretty hard to do the right shading on the ears to actually know where the how an ear look. I personally am a person, I have a good feeling for how to draw most of the things in a face, because I really like to look at people's faces, and then I think I have a good understanding of how the shading there works and how they look. But it's actually pretty rare that you really stare at someone's ear and really analyze how it looks. And so for ears, I still always need reference pictures to draw. I think I should really get to training ears next. I also did some training for eyelashes lately, because that's an area I'm always struggling with. And this time I didn't use that training and drew more cartoony eyelashes, because I thought they fit in better with the style than realistic eyelashes would have done. I hope that was the right choice. In the end, I thought the eyelashes sticked out a little bit, all of a sudden they were the most cartoony aspect in that face. So maybe going for different ones, or a mix of realistic and cartoony eyelashes, would have been the best choice, but I don't know if I'm confident enough in my eyelash work yet. And then I finally got to the really fun part about this drawing, which is the lighting. And this time I was really ambitious with the lighting. Most of the times I make the quote-unquote mistake to just basically do it with layer styles and black and white to make highlights and shadows. But this time I wanted to have colorful lights and shadows. I wanted the shadows to be a more purple magenta color and the highlights to be more yellow. And so I played around a lot with curves, and then made a mask for these curves and only painted in the areas that were supposed to have the highlights or the shadows. It was a bunch of fun. I learned so much during this painting, and I think the way the lighting worked for this painting really enhanced the look of it, and I hope it also works well for the entire atmosphere of the painting. And then all I had left to do was to paint a little background. I think the background kind of shows that I was in a festive spirit while drawing this, but I had a bunch of fun. I called her Tanya, the rainbow-haired girl. In the end, I thought that name fit her well, and I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you liked the drawing. If you would consider subscribing, you would make me super duper happy. I hope we'll see each other again.